So for some reason, this post over here from Sean Strickland actually ended up going a little bit viral within the MMA community. I've seen discourse on TikTok. I've seen discourse on the MMA subreddit talking about this particular tweet. I don't really think that there's too much to look into this, but because it has been going viral, I wanted to make a video on it today. We're going to be talking about what Sean Strickland said. Jon Jones chooses to be a POS. The Diaz brothers have some real demons, mentally broken. We're going to be breaking that down and seeing what the internet had to say about it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. So I'm going to give my take on this entire situation. Then, of course, we are going to get into the rest of the internet and their opinions about this in general. So talking about what Sean Strickland said, there's weirdly, like I said, been both agreement and disagreement on this. Sean Strickland, but it could just be a classic case of Sean going viral for, just talking about somebody, right? He ended up calling out Jon Jones for being and you'll have to excuse my language, being a piece of shit by choice, and then turned around and said that the Diaz brothers have demons and are mentally broken, as you can see right here. Is he lying about this? Absolutely not. Starting with Jon Jones, there is a huge track record of behavior, as you might know. DUIs, hit and runs, drug tests, domestic violence situations, strip club incidents. The list just goes on and on, including what literally just came out with him threatening to kill people and crashing a car with a girl in the seat. If anyone's had chances to turn it around and just didn't, it's Jon Jones. So when Sean says that he chooses to be a POS, and as, Daniel used to say, there's a pattern. And if anyone believes that it's just Jon's demons at this point, they're just flat out wrong. And I can't believe that there's always been people, and still people, defending Jon Jones to this day. He's always been like this, man. Now, with the Diaz brothers, it is different. They're not exactly saints themselves, but they haven't hurt people like Jon has. Their demons are, of course, a little bit more internal. Anger issues, emotional instability, perhaps even trauma if you want to go there. Sean's not exactly going after them the same way. He's just pointing out that their issues feel like a little bit of a result of damage rather than something like malice, if that makes sense. And it's important to separate those things, because having demons doesn't mean you're not responsible for your actions. I'm not saying that one little bit, but it might explain why you are the way you are. Jon Jones, on the other hand, has shown over and over again that he knows how to play a game and how someone should behave. He just doesn't care. And like Sean said, willingly chooses to be a POS himself. I think there's a reason that this resonated with so many people, because Sean's the guy that typically says what a lot of people think but are too scared to say. Not that this is too out there, but whether you love Sean or you hate Sean, it's hard to argue that there's not some truth to what he was just saying over here. So with my own take on this, I wanted to take a look at, of course, what the internet had to say about this, not to just get my opinion, but to get a gauge on how people are feeling about this, because we've seen agreements and disagreements. I don't know what we're going to see on Twitter over here, but I've seen a lot of people breaking this down, okay? Suede had this to say about it. When someone uses the mask of being religious to hide how messed up they are, that's very sinister. My favorite thing about Jon is that video in his car. Hallelujah, my Lord. But yeah, I agree with Sean over here. That's the biggest trademark of a POS. I can't believe, it's so disrespectful that people hide behind that type of stuff. How does Jon Jones not have real demons? His sister died from cancer when he was a kid. I didn't even know that. That would make anyone mad at God. But I don't think bad things happening to you excuses any bad behavior, especially the type of bad behavior that Jon has done. I don't think, it's tough, man. Because in a way, you could look at it as okay, Jon Jones does have demons, but it's like Jon lives for those demons. You know what I mean? It's like Jon's friends with those demons, if that makes sense. Sean ended up replying to that and saying, yeah, man, but he's happy. He's charming, as people would say. He has good relationships, married. The Diaz brothers cannot function. It's very different. King ended up replying, saying, I don't think he is happy, though. It's one thing to come across as happy. It's another thing to actually be happy. Sean said he's just an addict. I'm telling you, I'm shocked the Diaz brothers are still alive. To be honest with you, I kind of agree with that. You would think that Nate would have picked a fight with the wrong guy at this point and ended up getting shot or something. I mean, we're all effed up, right? Yeah, man, but these guys are just fucked. Be around them and you will see how miserable they are. They can't even fake it. And the person here said, sure, there are levels to this darkness. I'll take your word for it. I would imagine that he's talking about the Diaz brothers with how miserable they are, but I could be wrong about that one. Same can be said for you, my dude. Rule of thumb is to not pretend to know someone else's life and what they're dealing with. I get the logic behind this, man. I do, but it's not difficult to look at John Jones and the Diaz brothers and kind of distinguish what's going on with them. You know, John's a POS. Nick and Nate Diaz barely can function at this point. It doesn't take, you don't have to know them to figure that out, you know? His promise, despite his money, accomplishments, and physical prowess, he still conducts himself as a weak and insecure man. This I've never understood about John. And I've mentioned this on the channel before. You have what most people believe to be the greatest fighter of all time. Somebody who can walk around and level any person in the room at any time, maybe even multiple people at a time. I don't understand how a person like that could walk through life being so insecure. It makes actually no sense to me. He constantly needs validation. He constantly needs to protect his record, like, oh my god, look, I'm the best fighter in the entire world, things like that. And it's so petty and it's so weird, and he constantly needs validation by random people on the internet. Strange to me. Worth Snyder had this to say: Jones laughs whenever he gets called out. Insane behavior. Go back and watch a DC and Rashad Evans interviews with him. I can't do a John Jones impression, but like, dude, my favorite one is it's the second Cormier fight. I remember because he was completely shaved. Like, he had no facial hair and he was bald. And when Cormier was talking about, he was like, I already beat you. You know, that one lived in my head forever because it's so cringy. Like, he's always trying to be this nice guy, this like laid back guy. Like, Daniel, well, I already beat you, Daniel. And he's trying to like look normal, you know? Nick was the one who got me obsessed with studying and training MMA years ago. Sucks to see where he's at. Martial arts was supposed to build him. When you gained a ton of notoriety over the last few years, you reminded me of Nick. Maybe a NorCal thing. Take care of yourself, man. I can kind of relate to that a little bit. Nick Diaz was one of the people that got me really invested in MMA as well, but I can relate to that in the sense where it's like unfortunate to see what became of somebody, and it's not to the same level because I always talk about TJ Dillashaw, where he inspired me to a point where I modeled my own kickboxing Muay Thai style after him. I tape studied. I tried to emulate his footwork, his combinations, everything, and it was heartbreaking to find out that he was a cheater all this time. And don't get me wrong, he's still successful. He still has money. He has his own businesses. He has a wife and kids, you know, all that type of stuff. So I don't want to talk about him like, oh my God, sad to see with TJ Dillashaw. But I can relate to this in the sense where this person was like looking up to Nick in a sense and getting all excited for him. And it's just ended up getting your heart stomped on a little bit. But Nick was also somebody responsible for getting me involved in MMA too. I loved watching Nick growing up, man. John Jones has drama and trauma, but it's all self-made. Fundamentally, he's a spoiled kid that chose to be a bully. The Diaz brothers have some legit baggage. I see them more like the kid that chose to be the bully, chose to punch the bully back regardless of the consequences. Honestly, this take I actually agree with. John Jones clearly enjoys being the bully. Nick and Nate Diaz are just angry people where it's like, F you guys, I'm going to punch the bully, you know? Why kick a dead horse? When it comes to John Jones, I am a big fan of bringing back shame culture. And shame culture has been finally hitting John Jones a little bit, and it's been making him spiral out of control a little bit. Not changing his attitude, but I don't know. I'm so sick and tired of just like, oh my God, John Jones just has demons. Oh my God, John Jones just needs to figure out life. John Jones is actually a good person. Kick the dead horses. I'm good for it, man. John Jones is the best MMA fighter ever lived. Diaz brothers are legends. You're one jealous MF. Steven. Oh my God, you're so awesome defending people you don't know. Good for you. Yeah. There's always going to be those people that are like, oh, you leave the poor John Jones alone. John Jones is just, you have no idea what John Jones is going through. Like, and just, again, crashed a car, left a girl there, threatening the police officers' lives. It's just not shocking. To be honest with you, I was a little bit shocked that this entire conversation by Sean Strickland stirred up some, not controversy, stirred up some conversation with the MMA community, but I'd love to know what you guys think about this down below. Thank you very much for watching. Why don't you check out this video on screen right now. If you want to keep watching MMA content, I will have you over there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care, guys.